Who's heard of Jammers as a first thing? Well, Jammers kick up a storm at the moment. He's been on several radio stations. He's got a serious following on YouTube. He runs the Speakers Club. And also he's got a book out.
Now you're tuned in to DJ Jammers on Bless Radio. 5 till 7 is the Jam Master Show. Every Thursday,
Boom family, and it's a happy big new year to each and every one. Like to first thank the ancestors for allowing me to come in the residence of blessradio.org and hopefully impart some knowledge, wisdom and understanding. Big request to all the regular listeners, all the newcomers, everybody's been supporting this show, Jam Master Show. Also Mantis, big up. And I've got to big up my esteemed guests in the house tonight. Firstly, we have Dougie in the house. Dougie, I was with you on New Year's. We just about made it through to this year, didn't we?
That's right.
Yes, give thanks and praise to the Most High. It's really good to be here on Bless Radio, be among my brethren then. And Jam Master Show, the #1 show in the UK. I see it on the YouTube, and it's going all over the place now. So, again, I also want to big up the management, you know, who is a good friend of mine, close friend. And we got the rest of the presenters and DJs on Bless Radio.
Respect, Doug, every time. I didn't think we were going to make it through the new year. That party we went to, big up Ebony Sound, jeez. Yeah. We left it at midday, I believe, yeah? And it took me about 2 days to recover. So big up Ebony Sound, yeah, every time, yeah? Right, and then we've got a special guest in the house. Lovely lady by the name of Maxine. Would you like to say hello to us? Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay.
And it's Maxine live. The pleasure of her company on Sky, Maxine's Moment. And
Moments with Maxine.
Moments with Maxine.
It's all good.
Yeah, would you like to tell them about your show?
Yeah, definitely. It comes on 3 times a week. Right. It's called Moments with Maxine, although you can Google and see it online. And it's just a program that's basically inspiring people just to, live the dream and go out there, and ways to help them get there as well.
And how long have your show been running?
I've been on this particular program for about 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
But I have been doing one called Virtuous Woman previously, which was just educating people on women, things for women that can basically help them along the way.
And what time is your show on? If everybody wants to tune in.
Yeah. Well, Tuesday, and it's only because the times have slightly changed recently. Right. So it's a 12:30 afternoon on a Tuesday, I believe.
Right.
A 7:30 on a Thursday, and a 6:30 on a Saturday. And that's on channel 586.
Channel 586. Yes.
On Sky.
On Sky. Wow. This is another.
There's many aspects to Maxine Booth, and all I know is that, as I've spoke to you earlier, I want to just leave this world totally empty and stripped, and just know that I've done everything I can do. Every gift I have, I want to use it to the max, and in regards to the motivational speaking, it's normally in regards to business. I've been a business woman for a number of years, and just know that, we need money. We have to make money, and I believe our gifts are there for us to make money. And if we can tune into that and understand that every gift we have, that is truly where you should be making your money. Right. Instead of sitting down in an office doing something you don't really want to do just to pay the bills. That's not living, as far as I'm concerned. So I do try and let people know through when I do my motivate room for you, as the word says. So use it.
Away from the norm.
I don't think that I've ever been the average girl. And when I say that, I was bullied at school.
And what impact did the bullied aspect have on your identity of who you were and how did it change you in a certain way?
The funniest thing is, I'm a very creative. Well, I've learned that I'm a very creative person anyway, and I use my, how can I put it, clothes, makeup, hair, however you want to do it, as portraying what I want to portray out to people, and that's just being different. So
from internally, you created your persona to counter the influence.
Yeah, totally. Whether I've got grey hair, red hair, black hair, high heels, flat shoes, whatever. But I use that. I like being creative, and it comes out through clothes, hair, dress, whatever. Definitely.
So it sounds to me, because of the outside influences, it made you go inside to form your identity.
Big time. Yeah. I don't. One thing I understand when you have a lot of friends around you is they normally influence your dress, your hair, how you are, and whatever. I don't like too many people around me in that way, because I really don't want people to influence my life, because I believe that everything we have it within. You know what I mean? We have it within us, and that's what we need to spill out. And we don't want to be like everybody else anyway, because everybody needs something different.
Dougie, what were your comments on Maxine's journey so far?
Well, as I said, your mess has become your message.
Yeah.
Right? And you see, and the thing is that you've learned from your experience, because everything's a journey.
Yeah.
Everything's a journey, right? But it's what you learn as part of that journey, right? And as I said, because hearing your journey, you really made me go into myself and really start resonate. And it's quite simple that your mess, because if you've never been through that kind of experience, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now.
Definitely not.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, looking at you now, as a powerful black woman, right? Very powerful, young age. You had your own business, buy your own property at that young age and so forth, So the mindset. I know that you're an example for many people who's been through, literally an example. You're a shining star. So, you're powerful. You know what I mean? You remind me of people like, looking at people like Les Brown, who I really look up to. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You're in tune to DJ Jammers on Bless Radio, UK's #1 station for great music. Don't touch that dial.
Yo, where Jammers, man? We are dealing with, man. We don't like where you're going. What are you talking about now, Chris?
Well, every minute you have a new guest, man. Me never let me bring my guest. Me have to guess what you do every week. I was supposed to be partnership. We are deal.
No, Chris, it's just the way it's gone, The lovely lady kind of invited me on the Sky.
Sky? We you tell Sky me never get invitation. We are deal with. You see what I got next week? Me I got bring my friend Chikalita to the scene.
All right, Chris. Yeah, well, we've got a young guest here. You're kind of frightened her at the moment. So can you just go back and finish? There's another bottle of brandy in there for you.
Yeah? Oh, wait, all right then. We cool.
Right, sorry about that, Maxine. You have to just excuse Chris. It's true, but so you I don't even know where we are now.
So we love Chris.
Yeah, so you were telling us about like your experience through the bullying, and you were telling us about you do motivational speaking.
Yep.
And you're a Sky presenter.
Yes, I am.
You got any more?
Oh, gosh, where do I start? The thing is, there's so many aspects to me, and if I start, I will list a few. I am a professional singer, dancer, actress, as well as as I said, a business person. I have a dance, fitness and sports agency, and as well as I do a few other little businesses online.
You're making me tired already.
I know, but these are all things I genuinely earn money from. Right. So
how do you find the time to fit them all in?
I probably don't spend too much time thinking about it. I just do it.
Right.
I think sometimes we can spend a lot of time thinking and meditating on certain things when we just need to actually just do it.
Right. I think Lyndon wanted to come in on a viewpoint on what your experiences so far that you wanted to share.
that this opportunity at this juncture of the interview, the interview, by the way, is flowing. I really am having full joy listening to David, the magician. I call him the elicitor. Okay,
I agree.
He's eliciting information from you better than me as a coach. You know what I mean? I wonder if I'll leave any of my books in the studio. Better Dougie can't tell me that. I know, but it's his own talent. Obviously, the man's talented right up there, no limits. But for you, Maxine, I hear so many wonderful things. Now, anyone who knows Lyndon will say, if you mention the word role model to Lyndon, Lyndon's first thing is his own philosophy about role models. One is, which model fits what role?
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying? That's how I am. And then I ask, what role suits that model? So for me, I'm hearing lots of little bits and pieces of information, but I'm picking it up the major points. Okay. One major point for me, which is something a coach knows, it's never easy for somebody to identify, but first of all, be better aware of their difference, not allowing the word normal to come in between progression. That's an art.
Wow.
So that's something you have naturally. I mean, everybody's got it inside them, but normally one has to coax it out. And not many people can say they've sat down like yourself and say, you know what, that's it, I'm who I am, who I need to be, and I am whom I have to be. And so, let me just do me.
That's right.
And I hear you saying, you just do, which, funnily enough, works out quite nice to my philosophy, which we discussed in there.
Sure.
That's the difference to me. The difference to me is that you are an individual who realize your own uniqueness and your own credibility, yes, that you bring, yes, to people, and also, most of all, your integrity. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, you get it. Dougie, can you keep up with Maxine and everything that she's been doing? Because I'm losing track. I'm still stuck just past the motivational, business motivation.
Well, as I said, Maxine is a role model for many of us to follow. I think what's interesting, just observing Maxine, is her language, and the reason why I'm saying the language, because in our mindset, and in my subconscious world, we use the word we can't. And from you say you can't, that already told yourself you can't do it. But I know that you had a determined mindset from the day one, right? And it's because the language you use, was very, very important, So that's what I observe. And just when you come across that assertive, you're so confident, And one thing, observing people like Les Brown and Anthony Robbins, right?
Sure.
You have to be assertive. For example, say to yourself that I'm confident. And what that does, it just builds your psyche and you feel strong.
Yeah.
Physiology.
I've had to learn that.
No, it's physiology we're talking about.
Okay.
Let me show. I shared this last week with that you observe those who are depressed,
sure,
right? Shadow breathing, the head's down, low, and if you say that same person, boy, you've won the lottery, they probably do a somersault and jump over the damn place.
That's
right? You could change your physiology just like that.
Yeah.
You see, and that's why I observe you. Your physiology, you're very assertive. And to me, it's very, very important that we psych ourselves to be assertive.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I hear that. Whoa. Learning stuff about myself.
So was there one particular point that made you switch from being bullied to changing your whole outlook, or was it a general?
As was said earlier, obviously you looked into yourself and understood that I knew how much I was hurting anyway at that time. So when I finally got to a place where I felt that once again I could express myself, because obviously bullies, you know, the objective of bullying is to make you go in yourself, you know what I mean, so you don't express who you are. So when I found that I could realise that I can express myself, I realised it was really easy to spot a lot of hurting people. That's the first thing that I acknowledged. A lot of people are hurting out there, and they more so became my friends. I wanted people that I could help and be of help to. And that's kind of a little bit of my mentality still now today. I like helping people that genuinely need help, not give me a bunk, you know, like help me out and you're doing okay.
That's just led me to the next question. So if anybody listening in, what advice could you give them if they're suffering bullying, or mothers or fathers whose children are being bullied? What advice can you give?
I think the biggest thing is to leave that communication open so they can actually feel that they can talk to you, but at the same time, don't just let it be a talk. Try and help and do something actually about it, whether it's physically going to the school, whether it's, or whatever the environment is, because it's not just schools that, you know, bully, this exists. But yeah, actually do something about it, because a lot of the time people, you might just want to offload, but some action needs to be taken.
And also to the people, the victims of the bullies, what should they do about?
I think it's really important that you know that this is a very small season of your life. Yeah, because people think that this is going to go on forever. You know, but it's a really small season, and it's important that you have to just keep going and let people know that you're strong. I mean, I see my bullies on Facebook, on wherever, and it's quite interesting because I know that you can't touch me right now, and it's as simple as that. You might be able to do a few words or whatever, but the truth of the matter is I am who I am, and you can't take that away from me, which is what their job is to do.
Well, Lyndon, from your aspect, have you got any advice you could give to anyone listening who's being bullied, or or parents whose children are being bullied? What advice can you give from your angle?
It's a great question. I say straight away that I know that I'm not powerful enough to give anybody advice, because giving advice really is a pretense that I have the machination of your brain, and I don't. So I can't give any advice, I don't make suggestions, it's just one of my philosophies. But what I can say very happily is about bullies. I love your perspective on knowing the I within the self. As some people would say, I would say just knowing the I within, spiritually.
Right.
From your spiritual viewpoint, you were able, and still am able, to look within and says, from whence cometh this strength? I hear that very, very clearly. And you don't question when the answer comes.
No.
You just do what Tony Robbins would refer to as right thinking brings right action.
I like that.
Yeah, that's Tony's. It's not mine, but I still follow it. And the second point that I'd like to make, I'm going to quote Tony Robbins again, because I was so impressed with the man, and still am. Okay? And he said, somebody said, oh, but that may have happened, by luck. And he said, luck? He said, luck? I'm quoting him now. I said, luck? Yeah, I suppose you would say it's luck. And I could probably say it's luck, but you know what luck means to me? And then everybody was like silent. Thousands of people, silent. You could hear a pin drop. And he says, this is what luck means to me. L, learning. U, under. C, correct. K, knowledge. And I was blue. Wow, I was like, what?
Yeah.
It just registered straight away.
Yeah.
So, I hear you are learning under correct knowledge. Well done.
It's funny because I actually know those things as well. But my one's normally labouring under correct knowledge.
That's fine. Your own thing is your own thing. So nobody's saying you have to use this model.
Yeah.
But look at the perspective from which you're looking. So, in a way, I see you as a beautiful person, because I think a parrot is a very beautiful bird who has so many, colors. even some so subtle, you pick it up. So that's what I mean. Yeah, I don't just mean talk. I mean you are really a beautiful person inside. Otherwise, you could not be wanting to help anybody else. See, anyone who is in the care business and the in-service business is neurally connected from the limbic section all the way through the CNS. Okay. And it triggers you through your intuitive psychic best. But one more thing.
Okay.
Nobody wants sympathy. Nobody I know or you know wants sympathy. So sympathy is out. What is in is empathy. And I hear you're very empathetic.
Oh, wow.
So there you are.
I'm touched.
And I'm going to have one more break. I'll just say one more thing as well. A bully is just one opinion, just one person's opinion. If you look at the word bully, you see the word bull and you see the word lied. So they've lied about you and they're just chatting pure bull.
You're in tune to DJ Jammers on Bless Radio, UK's #1 station for great music. Don't touch that dial.
Guys, newest hottest presenter Maxine live in the studio, Bless Radio with her presence, and we've just had a little discussion about how she got into Sky Radio, also about how she motivates and how her early life and how she overcame bullying. Maxine, once again, thanks for coming down again.
Thank you.
And right, you mentioned about motivation. Now, what is the key to how does somebody motivate themselves?
Ooh. I think it's important to tap into yourself, and I suppose the only way I can put that across as we're talking on the radio and you can't see me, I would say it's important that you understand a little bit more about yourself daily, and it will kind of push you into where you're supposed to be. I do believe that we've all got gifts, we've all got things that we've got to do in this life, purpose, if you like, for another way of putting it across. But you've got to tap into that and understand the direction of where you've got to go in order for, whether it's people, whether it's a book or something to help you, push you to where you've got to go. But I always say that when the student's ready, the teacher will arrive. So it's important that you just leave yourself open to go in the direction where you're supposed to be going. But I think the answers are all within us. It's to motivate.
Yeah, I just say what you say because I'm drinking the last. I don't believe what you just say about the teacher. When the teacher, kind of time when the teacher dashed me out the classroom, he was always ready. He dashed me out the classroom.
All right, Critters, thanks for that, Critters. You see, we've got a guest, so you just can't just rush in there.
No, we just have to say it because, you know, me still trauma by that, you know. Because I was first for coming and last for leave, because we always put me in a detention.
All right, yeah, all right, yeah. Thank you, sir.
That's okay.
Lyndon, what would you say is the motivational psyche?
Yeah.
The motivational psyche. Well, first of all, let's just look at motivation. If you have an external motivation, it's limited.
That's right.
That's the number one thing. Even though it's well intentioned, because everybody's intention is actually pure. So, you know, but it's limited.
Sorry, Lyndon, could you give us an example of that motivation, the external motivation? Give me an example.
Let's have a look at the footballer. Okay, earning thousands, millions per year.
Right.
And somebody comes along from a car company and says, "Oh, I'm going to give you the biggest, the best car." And the guy says, or the woman says, "Listen, I've got 7 cars already, and I've got one of them models." I said, really, that was what it was all about. I can't give you anything else, because I know you don't need money. But if that person had gone in and said, Can I ask you, what is your need? Now that would have been different. You see, already that's intrinsically motivated. Do you understand? So that individual will be saying, oh, wow, you know, they're leaving it up to me. I'm being empowered to find my own solutions. And so imagine that, you know, you reference bullying, for instance. And this is what I want to say. Bullying is just another of those negative items, elements, call them what you will, that we have to live through. It may not have been you being bullied, but you may have witnessed somebody being bullied, or know somebody being bullied, and you would react in exactly the same way because of whom you are. It's very difficult for people who do not know themselves to do what you can do. Do you understand what I'm saying? You had to search. What is the meaning of this experience? Or these experiences, whichever it was. And in the end, you say, you know what? What did I learn from all this? I learned that there are some people who are totally ignorant about sensitivity. Because they don't realize how sensitive I really am. And how it's affecting me.
Wow.
So that's really where I'm at. I want to tell you something. You're absolutely, perfectly, 100% correct. Your experiences, i.e. bullying, is a huge teacher.
Yeah.
And you're a brilliant student. So well done.
I just want to bring Dougie, what's your idea of a motivation? What's the motivational personality?
Motivating personality.
Yeah, what do you have to do to motivate yourself?
But I want to come from a different angle, based on Maxine experience. I know people can see what I'm going to say here, that even though you have a plan, there's a master planner. An example will be, if you go for a job interview, right? You have a panel of people interviewing you, ask you all different kind of question. But the most important thing to ask you, can you work with people? Can you take pressure?
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? The master planner is testing you. He's a job for you already.
That's right.
But can you take pressure? It's like you're in the kitchen, right? And part of the ceiling falls down. You put up 4x4 to hold that piece up, to hold it straight. It's like yourself as an individual. Can you take stress? Because the master planner has got a job for you.
That's right.
But just seeing, can you take pressure? It's there. You know, it's like I buy a watch, a gold watch for my nephew. He's already. All do just see how he behave, how he carry himself. You see what I'm saying? He sees already. You see? So what I'm saying that, right? The Creator has a plan for you already. But he's testing you to see, can you do the job? You see what I'm coming with this? It
sounds perfectly in alignment with where I am.
Where you are right now.
Totally.
Because this where you're at right now, my sister. You know? And you got greater things coming for you already. You know?
I receive that.
You know? But you've been tested and you've passed the test. Remember I said earlier on, your mess has become your message.
Lovely.
You see? So there's no accident why we met. See? No accident. Everything's happened for a reason.
Sure.
Thank you, Dougie. And just we welcome Supreme to the equation of the conversation in this situation. And don't ask me to say that again, Supreme.
Yeah, no, I'm frightened that Critters might have a go at me. That's my main problem here at the moment, you know.
He's all right now. He's satisfied in the kitchen. So, what's your aspect of motivation? What you would see, like for the new year? What can you send? Message can you send out?
I'll tell you what. You know, I look at the people that motivated me when I was young, and there's two people that come to my mind as we speak about motivation. One of them is Muhammad Ali, and I looked at Muhammad Ali when I was young as a man going against all the odds, facing all the racism, facing all these things that he didn't have to stand up. He could have chosen to, you know what I mean, switch. But he always always rise to his adversities. You know, they threw him in prison. They were doing so many things. But I felt motivated because I thought, wow, could I do that? Would I do that? What would I do? So he got me thinking about why do we do what we do. Another person that comes to my mind is Michael Jackson. I know a lot of people might say he's wacko jacko, but he's the greatest songwriter, singer that's ever lived. The same thing. When you look at, I just think you're a genius. What is it that you see? As a singer, look, I'm not a singer, but as a person who loves music, I want to know how do you continuously do it? Do you get what I mean? Album after album after album after. You kind of think this man is a genius, and I don't think we'll ever see anyone like him again. But and the thing, one thing I realise about people who are motivated and get places, the media always says they're mad. Come on. But let's look at this. Let's look at this. Anyone who's creative, their class is mad. If a man build an aeroplane or a time machine, they say, he's a nutter next door. But when he does it, they go, you know what, I always believed in him. You know, I knew him, he was my friend, you know. But when you're on the way there, they're never with you.
Come on.
But motivation, yeah, it's very interesting that you're touching on this topic. I hope I answered. Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So I like.
Voila. It's the first time I've seen Supreme answer a question directly. You know. It moves a dance around the place, right? It moves a dance around the place. You know what I mean? You know, the first time I see him, I hear him and I said, all right. I want to he's giving some scenario or whatever. You know, it's the first time I hear the man answer the question. I want because the woman's inside the place. He answered the question.
I'm going to tell you who motivated me to answer the question. His critters coming down. That critter. We just have to think about what's the movie that have critters. I look in the room and I can't see him. I just hear him. That's frightening.
Respect Supreme. That's excellent points. And I just want to back to the. How do you manage time management? That's another thing.
Yeah.
You've got so much things that you're doing. You need about 3 of you, really.
Ideally, yeah. One thing I'll just to backtrack just a little bit on as well. Just like what you've said, where everybody's spoken about motivation, you know, how do you motivate yourself and stuff. One thing I captured, even just with what was said, is that when man motivate you, I have to say that it was awesome. When man motivate you, that's very limited. But when you motivate yourself, there's no limits. And it's something that I just grabbed from what they were saying, and that's awesome. That's like wow. I'm going to run with that anyway. Time management. I'm not overly brilliant at it, but the truth is I get it done.
How?
We're just pushing myself once again, you know, sometimes, and especially, you know, I have 2 kids, and people that don't know me would never believe that I have children, and they always say, you got children, really? Yeah, but that's the truth. But what I have found is that if I can manage them to get them sorted out, and then I've got that window for myself, then whatever I can fit in that window, I will do it to the best of my ability and as quick as possible. But one thing I know about moving and getting to where you want to get to is even a small little thing a day in the right direction of where you want to go, you're going to get there. It's obvious. Even if it's one small thing a day, and moving in the right direction when you want to go, I think you'll get there. You have to.
And you don't really seem stressed.
And that's another thing. Yeah, I don't. And the truth is I don't feel stressed, because what I've learned again is to start making myself happy and not other people all the time happy. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you have to put yourself out to help others and things like that, which I believe in helping. That's a natural cause daily. It's not something you should be thinking about, I better go and help that person, or I might go and do that. If somebody needs help and you can do it, then you just do it. You don't think about it, you just do it. But one thing I do know is that I need to make myself happy in order to make anybody else happy.
Yeah, how do you make yourself happy?
I do the things that I do the things that I want to do.
Right, okay.
And that keeps me happy.
Cool.
When I'm always concentrating on doing things that other people always want you to do, or what makes them happy or whatever, I sometimes realise that doesn't make me happy. That makes them happy.
It's part of it, like you've chosen your journey in your career in things that's going to inspire you to better yourself.
Yeah, but also whatever, I believe that if it's in alignment with where you're supposed to be, it's going to affect and make other people happy along the way anyway, and you're going to be able to help others along the way anyway. Anything that is just about you and it doesn't help anybody or it doesn't inspire anybody, that can't be it. You know what I mean?
Lyndon, the happy identity, what's your opinion on that?
I have a philosophy on happiness. And it's very, of course, I willingly share this. I mean, lots of people pay me a lot of money to do this, but I know Critter ain't gonna give me nothing but brandy, and I don't drink. Okay, so let me just free it up. Happiness is a state of mind.
Ooh.
It's very simple. You either have the mentality or you don't. You know, for myself, or for me, I look at happiness and I say, I only live for this moment. Now, how do I sort of say to myself, ask myself one question, just one. What do I need to be? Not want to, but need to be. And how do I actually concur with myself that I need it? So first I've got to find the need, okay, to be happy. Yes? Anybody can want to be happy, because want just means lack, means you're not.
Sure.
Do you understand? So mine's about need. And I ask myself the one question all the time: what choice have I got? Either be happy or not be happy in this moment. So it's just a state of mind. Simple.
Yo, brethren. Yo, you have to make my girl happy again because she dashed me out last week because of you. So how can I get my girl back now? You tell me that with your state of happiness. Tell me now.
Well, without that kind of a spirit, you could be into another finer spirit. You know what I'm saying? A finer spirit of state of mind. Because after all, in every single moment, we are always in a state of mind.
Nah, listen to you, man. We are going to find a spirit to suit me, a spirit of brandy.
Yeah, brandy. Me know that. Yeah.
Dougie.
Yeah, that's a good question. The whole thing about state of happiness, and I do agree with Lyndon, it's a state of mind. It's how you anchor yourself, right? You know, come back to, you know, people like Anthony Robbins, Les Brown, and all this great mode. It's what you do daily to anchor yourself. You know, one of the things I do, well, I was doing, I slacked off a little bit, right, is play positive music, positive motivational speakers in the morning time to get myself anchored, get myself hype up, psych up, you know. So when I do face the world, people, you know, I'm on a mission, you know. I don't let nothing pull me off track, because I'm on a straight it's how you psych yourself up.
That's right.
You know, it's how you anchor yourself. You know, if you watch tennis players, right, this is interesting, right? You know where to serve the ball, what they do, they bounce the ball. What they do is anchoring themselves, just anchoring that concentration, anchoring yourself, you know. And that's something we need to do, you know, every day, program ourselves. You see, let me show you something, right? I know Linda would agree with me what I'm going to say here, right? If you watch a horror movie, right? And you had that was a horror movie, right? I got frightened. I just got frightened. I said, "Oh, I'm going to get frightened," right? But it's not real. You know, it's not real, right? It's not real, right? That just show how vulnerable the mind is. That's why it's very important to do things daily to anchor yourself with positive vibration. Very, very important. Very, very important. You know? So the secret is your daily routine. Let me say that again. Your secrets of success is your daily routine. You know? There's no doctor in the world I know of, and there is, people let me know, could split your head open, operate on you, and give you the right attitude, the right vibration. You got to perform your own operation upon yourself. So what Lyndon was saying earlier on, it's all about the mind. It's all the state of mind. You know? You can be successful, you could be a failure.
Supreme, do you agree or disagree, or what have you got to say in relation to that?
Disagree, boy. I can't disagree with me. Disagree, boy. Don't even gonna say my disagreement.
I'm glad you were talking about bullying. As a small person at school, being petite frame, it's always small people that always used to get picked on. Trust me. I'm sorry, I'm going to stray. I know Dougie says I stray. But we have to look at our current situation with our youth culture. You're going to find out that most of the gang ones that are doing the most volatile work is the babyface ones. I call them the babyface gangsters. You know why? Because they don't want no one to bully them. So they have to show themselves that they're in charge of their business. So I have to realise it's the smallest one that look the cutest that's probably going to, to the bigger boys that always gets picked on. But he has to put on this facade that, you know what, I'm running things here. I'm a bad man just like you. I might be small. And it just reminded me of when I was young. I used to fight the biggest man. Just to prove, look, I could show him my tooth is knocked out, I've dislocated my arm. I may not have won, but I proved to him that, you know what, me can fight like you, but I never won all the time. You understand? But that was the problem. When you're young and you're petite, they call it small man. Is it small man syndrome, we call it? Lyndon's putting to himself. But it's very interesting. Sorry for straying. But I look at, especially sports, athletics, those people have what they call rituals. They do, when I mean rituals, not voodoo or conjure up something, but they do something where they shut themselves off, focus, I'm going to win. You know, I'm just going to name a few. Mike Tyson's one. If you ever see Mike Tyson in the ring, every boxer fears when he starts twisting his neck. That means, I'm coming for you. You ever see him? The neck just look fat and twisting up the place. Tiger Woods is another one. Not saying that he twists up his neck and stuff, but he's got a ritual, but people don't see it. And his ritual is similar to what Dougie says. He does a walk. And that walk, he walks down the line and he focuses, this ball's going to go in. Yeah? But they've all got their rituals. It's only after a while they may tell us what they are. You know what I mean? Some say, lucky them of them, lucky rabbit foot and all that. But there's some of them that it's just the focusing. When you see, I'll tell you another one. If you ever see him on the track, look at his eyes. He look like a madman. He's Linford Christie. Yeah. You ever see his eyes when he's about to go? Yeah. And of course, recently I would say, and this man has amazed the world, is Usain Bolt. I don't know what, but what I like about Usain Bolt, he brings, and that's what Ali done, they bring a bit of entertainment to what they do, but they deliver. You understand? So I think it's about, after a while, if you're serious about what you're doing, you have to have your rituals. You'll find that most of the stars that are partying flop because they're too busy trying to entertain and party, and it ain't happening. But that's what I say. Most the ones that are out the longest have their what we call rituals. Like even I believe, right, Jammers does a ritual before he comes here. Because him is in a different zone when he come here, you know.
I think, but it's brilliant what we're talking about with the rituals. But I think when it's your lifestyle, you don't even realise it's a ritual. Because when I sit and think about what I really do on a daily basis, that's just my lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what you do.
Can I ask you, sorry to interrupt, but isn't that a ritual?
Yeah, I didn't. But
I'm saying you don't have to think about it, but it's still a ritual. And your concentration level, to me, you know, if I ask you out of 10, 0 to 10, 10 being the best it can be, 0 being nothing, what might you how might you see yourself on that scale?
What, in regards
concentration?
Concentration. Yeah, it's high.
Yeah,
it's high.
Yeah, but I need a number. Everything. I need a number on my scale.
I'd say 9.
9. Okay.
Yeah.
Ritual. If you were aware that you were carrying out rituals, where would that be on that scale?
It would pretty much be between 8 and 9 again.
See? So, what's really happening with you, which you may not have realized, or you may, is that because of the routines
and the thing is,
and the structure and the focus that you give, you don't have to think about it. Similar to what Brother Dougie was saying about the tennis player bouncing the ball, ritual. As Brother Supreme was saying just now about, and he named a few, each person has a ritual. You watch certain players, right, in any sport, and they come out and they touch the grass, you know, they touch the badge, and everybody has a ritual. The beautiful thing is, to us, the observers, what can we learn from that for ourselves? That is really the key for me. I'm already learning quite a lot from you, young lady.
Ooh.
Very much so. And as a coach, I'm telling you, it's a thrill. It's a huge thrill to listen to you and hear how you've managed to go where you've got to. Just one more point. Again, Supreme made it about being smaller and so forth. Look at me. You know, I've never been any other size. Okay? Consistent. Yeah? But I've been through that. I've been through that in a beautiful sort of way, but then in another way, you know, bullies always try to conquer me. I'm Delroy Wilson, as I sang and say, you're trying to conquer me, but you just can't conquer me. That was my mindset. And my ritual was, come try it. End of story. Never had anybody else bully me after that. That's it.
Wow.
Right, we're going to hear more about this after the break.
You're in tune to DJ Jammers on Bless Radio, UK's #1 station for great music. Don't touch that dial.
We're discussing a lot of topics. We've got Maxine in the house from Sky, and we're talking about motivation, we're talking about bullying, we're talking about everything really. I'd just like to add, when Supreme mentioned about what motivates us and habit forming, it's like we've got this inner intelligence in us, like when you're learning to drive a car. But a lot of people haven't got that relationship with their inner intelligence, and so they don't see it working. So we've got an inner intelligence that creates habits for us, you know. But once you can recognize that fact, then you'll be able to achieve greatness as well. Another problem is sometimes people are following the wrong identity, and they're following, as Lyndon was quite rightly saying, external images of like what the rap stars or what the TV stars are showing you who to be like. So this is where the failure mechanism comes in, where you're motivated to move in a certain way, but you find inside you're not really happy because you're not really moving to the essence of who you are. One way of finding who you are is really your mother. The mother is the God, really, in a real essence, because your mother is the only person who tells you genuinely when you're doing something wrong, you know. So your mother is the reflection of who you really are, you know. So basically all you really have to do is think what your mother would tell you to do, and if you do that, then you're moving the right direction. Look at the word mother. Inside the word mother, the last 3 letters is her. The first 4 letters is moth. What does a moth do? A moth moves towards the light. Maxine.
Wow. I've been thinking of my last words when I left out what I said to my son. I know that I always do it, and I always tell them anytime we part, remember I love you. That's always my last words to them.
Well, I think this society it doesn't either misunderstands or undervalues the role what the woman plays. You know?
But this is where I know. How can I put this, Charles? It's too deep for me, but it's too much and it's overwhelming because it makes so much sense in what you say in that way in regards to woman, because obviously society has us that we need to kind of be quiet and stay in one place and man rule and just be quiet. You,
mummy, my mum, mummy-fy.
That's the one.
Anyway.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But it is, and it's if I'm honest, it's quite refreshing and quite. How can I put it? It's just what's that word? It's like a breath of fresh air. Like literally, when you speak about that side of things, because women do need to understand their power and understand that. They play a very, very large role, and it's about making sure that the right words and the right actions and the right energy is leaving you when you're around anybody, and especially, like you say, your children. You know what I mean?
So everybody's falling the male image, but if you look at the word "ma," turn it the other way around, you see "am." You am who your ma is. So you see the word.
Thank you, and it makes perfect sense to me.
I think Supreme wants to jump in there.
Wow,
it's very
perfect sense.
It's very interesting because I know Maxine from quite a while ago, and it's very interesting how I know her. I remember meeting her in a house party, right? Obviously, you meet someone in a house party, but she was one of these faces that everywhere I went, I saw her. Like, you again? But it's very interesting because I was invited to a launch of General Levy's album.
Oh, God.
Right, and I want to tell people to go on YouTube and look this up because Maxine was one of the dancers in Levy's video, and she's in the BMW. You're in the driving seat, and left now, so the passenger seat. I said, everywhere I go, I've just seen this girl. I see her, and then where was I invited? I think it was Walthamstow Town Hall. He launched the album there, and that's Junior Hart. And the story with the story with Junior Hart started a record label called Rank Records. Rank Records was made because of his son. His son is M-Beat. He made the record label for his son because his son was misbehaving at school, and he promised his son, if you start getting yourself together, getting your grades, I'll give you a record label. He lived up to it. And then he worked with, out of Rank Records, it's quite interesting, Shy FX came out of it. I remember Gunsmoke. I don't know if you remember all them the younger jungle people were kind of linked to Rank, and Rank brought out, I forgot her name, she sang that the Anita Baker song, which was, but why I respect Junior for that is that he brought a music genre and crossed it over. Right, he crossed it over that it opened doors for other artists because they started to take grassroots music seriously.
Yeah.
Junior was the first person I went in a record company called SRD, their distribution called Southern Records Distribution, and I saw him sitting there and I thought, what are you doing here? And it's just bare, I have to say, white people in here. And what it was, he realised that his music can only go so far in certain record shops if he uses a smaller independent record labels, the distributors. SRD were distributing in Europe, so he used his head to say, okay, I've got to get to the areas that HMV are not getting to. I have to get to the areas that the smaller shops, because if you look at jungle as a genre, it was a London thing, and then it started to grow so big. I'm straying again, and it's very interesting because Goldie came out of this, but Goldie was in the background because Goldie was with a thing called Metalheads. Yeah. But Goldie was like a go between for some of the jungle. You know when you go.
Where's Goldie from? Is he from North?
I'm not too sure where he's from. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Is he from Manchester? Is he from North?
No.
He's from London, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay then.
yeah. I just remember that he was on a different tip with his music. Same with Smiley, but a lot of them were what we call door openers for other groups of music. Okay, no, well, I just wanted to say that straight, but how I know Maxine is through the jungle scene and seeing her as a dancer. And I was just saying to people, if they tap in General Levy, incredible, you see this young lady dancing, and she's in the passenger seat. So that would define her, innit? You're in the front seat, passenger. See how she up front?
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
As a teenager.
Teenager? Yes, you were a teenager. So was I.
I wanted to say this. Yeah, I wanted to say this, that if we have to go through Maxine's CV, you know, we'll be only scratching the surface. Only scratching the surface, right? And you know what's interesting? It's a program called This Is Your Life. Remember This Is Your Life? Yeah?
Eamon Andrews.
Eamon Andrews, right? Maxine, this is your life. This is your life, but
wow.
Because you know, Supreme. It's the reason why Supreme come here to bring in that episode. Cause I didn't know that. You know what I mean? About Maxine's been yeah. Okay then, it's amazing.
On YouTube.
Yeah. Well.
Yes. Right, I just want to move on now.
Yeah, let's do that.
Now, so basically now in relation to like relationships now, and to 2018, it's like there's a different perspective in relationships. You're seeing it now in like the women now are starting to make a stand up for themselves. And there's a lot of, especially in like Hollywood or the industry, like a lot of people are getting exposed as abuse, sexual abuse or whatever now. And it's like the men now seem like they have a problem in how to relate to this new, should I say, breed of women, or new, the new way women are thinking now of empowerment. Now women are thinking of empowerment. The men now are finding it now. The women are now more in competition with the women and finding it hard to deal with the women. So, what's your view on this scenario, if there is such a scenario?
Ooh. Yes, I know the scenario very well. Wow. Once again, I've got to be true to myself, and I can sit here and pretend, if you like, that we know from the word it tells that men are the head and not tail, or whatever. And there's lots of different interpretations of how a man and woman should kind of converse and how the relationship should be. But I don't necessarily agree totally that a man is over a woman or should only just submit to a woman, and a woman should just submit to a man. Almost like they're just so far in the background and of not much help apart from cooking, cleaning and that type of stuff. In my heart of hearts, I do believe that the woman plays a very major role in any relationship or household, or as I said, it depends on the relationship anyway, whether it's a business, whether it's a marriage, as in a household or whatever. But I do believe that the female is, how can I put, of a major influence to a male. And I do believe that the male, if they work together, being as two almost equals in some sense of the word, that it will bring a whole, that the thing works. When it's the case that you're asking a woman to totally put herself aside and just listen to what a male has to tell her and she reacts to it, I just don't agree with it. A woman has so much emotions, and especially where a male doesn't have as much emotions as a female. I believe that they've been put there for a reason, and so she's able to feel out and have wisdom with certain things that a male can never pick up.
Yes. Am I my mic on? Yeah, I'd like to ask Maxine a question from a female's point of view. Did you say you do relationship coaching, is it?
No, I don't do
sorry. I thought I was...
I feel confident to answer any...
Yeah, one of the questions that... This is very interesting. The other day we was having this conversation. It's quite interesting that a man rang in and said that he was in a new relationship where the woman, the past relationship was very volatile. He's come along, he's fixed up the house, he puts money every month, £700, £800, gives her, and everything in the relationship was going quite well. Brother Dougie can vouch for this. And the woman turned around and said that the man is very boring. So you get what I mean? So the problem I had with that is that it seems like women like bad men.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm just saying it seems like. But one of the things that we were talking about yesterday, I just want to ask Maxine this question. Sorry, how do you keep the fire burning in a relationship? Because
yes, I can. You're the right person already. No, I tell you something. I genuinely haven't. How can I put it? That man that you're talking about that comes home, brings the money, fixes that dough, whatever. I must admit, I haven't had that
scenario.
Yeah.
The ideal man, that is.
Yeah, which he sounds great, by the way.
The dream.
Yeah, he sounds good.
It's me.
But what I will say, and I can speak on behalf of anyone listening, any woman listening in, a woman genuinely just needs love. And attention and time. The one thing with men, when they start off with a relationship, they will sit and have time and listen to her as she talks and pours her heart out. And after that little honeymoon period is over, they don't want to hear nothing more about it. And I always say that any man that's in a relationship or wanting to keep that fire, if you like what you say, you have to show that woman love, and it needs to be through your words to start with, as well as actions, because obviously actions need to back up the word. It can't just be one or not the other. But that's what she wants. She just wants to be loved, even if you ain't got no money, no food or whatever. Don't get me wrong, obviously we need to earn money, no one's saying that, but if you're giving her that love and attention, love conquers all, as we know. So you will always be able to get the other things, the finances, the whatever else will make you happy. And also finding out a woman's language, what she finds love is as well.
In fact, you're right on something was quite interesting, because me and Supreme had a conversation yesterday. We was talking about the love language. Right? And it took me a little while to get my brain calculated on that, because I remember, which I brought it up because I remember a few years ago, this sister, she was talking about the love language, and she was saying, just break it down towards that time there, that you got to find the love language in your partner, because some women or sisters just want to hear the words that I love you or whatever. Some like to be hugged and touched. Some like to
bought gifts.
Yeah.
I like everything.
Yeah. So you see, but you got to find which button to press, because everybody likes everybody. Which because someone just like the woman who was talking to. The reason was that she likes to be hugged and touched. So that's her love.
I want all of it though.
Touchy feely, they call it.
Yeah. That's a love language, And he said it's very important to understand, it's all about communication as well, So that's quite interesting, Since when I jump in, me.
No, I want to ask Maxine another question, because I don't know. I just feel like she's got the answers.
Oh wow!
Do you think that where a person meets their partner determines their relationship, how it would last? And the reason why I say that, coming from the age group I come from, we met females in a nightclub. Lights are off, but we're promising her the world because it's dark, and that's how we got intimate. Now I'm just looking at that. There are a lot of what can I say? dysfunctional relationships that have come out of the dances.
Yeah.
That, oh, where did you meet him? Yeah, I met him in a night moves. It was nice then, because he would have said everything that was correct.
That's true.
So I'm just saying, is it where you meet a partner or a person that would determine the length of the longevity and of your relationship?
I don't think it's totally the place. I mean, you can meet somebody at a petrol station and end up marrying them and being with them for the rest of your life. But I do think that it's important to normally get to know somebody as a friend or as a person before, you know, hitting the sack, if you like. And normally we've done that the other way around, where we jump in bed or whatever, and then we've I don't really even like this girl. I don't even like this.
Yeah, sorry, but just interrupt. But me don't agree with you. That's the worst thing a woman can say to a man me like was a friend. The worst thing. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, yes, Chris, I get you, but the truth is, for any man, and I would normally say from a male perspective, because it's normally you guys that can't handle too much of a woman a lot of the time, when she talks and nags or whatever, as you call it, nagging, where a woman just wants to express herself to you. But I think it's important that a man and a woman, obviously, you get to know each other first, like get to know if you're compatible and what your purpose might be for why you're getting together. Because it can't just be about, I don't want to use the word, but it can't just be about sex. It can't just be about you know, we're going to build and make up money or whatever. There has to be just where you're heading towards.
I wonder if I could just jump in there, because I remember Sandra Hurst and Supreme's here with me, and she said something very profound many years ago. And she said that, you know, before you start knocking thighs with each other, right, you should be at least asking about over 100 questions. I said to myself, yeah, wish I talk about 100 questions, right? True. But the more I started to reason and start to understand certain things, she goes, you might not be happy with the answer them, but at least ask certain questions, you see. And the question is that, I mean, do we really ask questions when we meet somebody? You know, it could look physically attractive and look nice and so on, just doing things, so to speak. And that's where we're down for. So it's very important to know the person, like you said. You know, I remember listening to an interview by the youth there, I can't remember his name, right? But he was saying that every job he's been on, right, he's been on probation, right, for about 3 months, right, to prove himself, right? He said that the woman has the most powerful thing what you want from her, right? You know, love, sex, blah, blah, blah. Why do you want to give it so easy without proving? You see what I'm saying? So, but then there's a condition still, because he could behave himself for 3 months, then he's still got a little slackness. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, a bit more, but you got to prove yourself. You got to know the compatible with each other. You know, and I think a lot of do with maturity as well, because when you're young, you don't really know better. You just want to have fun. And but it comes to commitment relationship now, right? You know, well, I look at it slightly different again, because I do see it as a business. If you understand, I do see it as a business relationship. As a business, not some business where you got more money and property, you know what I'm saying, but the mindset you invest into a restaurant or a barber shop or whatever, the same kind of mindset you would invest in your relationship, you know.
Okay.
I'd just like to say, on top of that, the problem is with relationship is because it's based on romance, fantasy, you know, and love, where truth and reality and evidence don't come into the picture. So after, like, maybe the honeymoon period, then reality kicks in. It's not reality is the problem, not the you start to notice the foot smell or the armpit, you know. So it's like, it's the reality that's the problem, not the fantasy. You know, when the reality kicks in, you know, it counters the fantasy, and that's the kind of dilemma, if, you know, when we're conducting on this what's been given to us by the media. Yeah. You know.
And that makes perfect sense, what you're saying as well. But I do genuinely believe in love. I do genuinely believe that when you meet that right person and your mind your mind, your heart, everything's in alignment and connects, you almost feel like you could have been with them in another life when it captures. You know what I mean? But I so do believe in love. Do you?
Absolutely. So, you know,
if anybody is out here.
But you see, because we need to ask ourselves, right? What is love? Because anybody could say that. I mean, I could say I love you, and so it was a nice thing. But yet again, I can poison you. I can give you pork and abuse you, and you see what I'm saying, and still say I love you. You know, but you're right. You know, love is about. It's the commitment behind it. It's the word. It's the commitment behind it, and that's how I see love. You know, there's the commitment. So you got to provide, protect, and it's the words behind it. You know, but demonstrate the love, because love is a very vague, you know, word. It's a doing word. You know, so you know we got to turn this on his head a little bit. The whole thing about love. You know.
Well, I think the dynamics has changed as well, because as I said, now women are becoming more empowered. So the ways, if you look at the old movies where most of the way romance or whatever you call it is being conducted is when the man's been the dominant, you know, giving off the dead plants and the rings and stuff like that. But now it's like the dynamics have changed, and what's happened is now is especially with social media. Making it stance. It's like there's a lack of communication, and it's mostly like going back to caveman days now again. Because you see, especially like how the media and the music promotes swimming now. If you look the way how men conduct the youth conduct themselves with each other nowadays, it's like there's no communication anymore. So what would you say needs to be put into the picture?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing now. If a man's chatting up a woman, and I've had this even in my own experiences. What's your Facebook? What's your Facebook name? What's your Instagram? Okay. You know what I mean? Where once upon a time it was, what's your phone number? I'll phone you. Let's meet up and let's have a chat and whatever. But yeah, this day and age is, it's even for mature people, it's dating agencies. You know what I mean? Like, have Tinder, this, that. There's loads of them. But yeah, I do think that we probably do need to get a little bit back to basics, where communication physically, just talking, conversation and all that, because a lot of people, and especially the younger generation, they haven't got that. They don't know how to communicate anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
it's true. It's true.
It's my opinion.
I see Supreme having brain cells rolling over the place.
I remember a woman saying to me that a wedding ring is the smallest handcuff she's ever had. I was like, that's very interesting, because the wedding ring and weddings are a Western thing. Because when you look at it, well, I don't smoke and I don't drink, but when you look at certain religions, there's one religion, I don't know what it is, Lyndon might be, that practices it polygamy. Or culture. And I think that's what our culture is. I think we've become westernized when we...
Be careful, because if you don't understand about polygamy, you might put on a bit of a...
but it's just very interesting. I do think that we do come from where a man had more than one wife.
Yeah, but there's a reason...
that's what I'm saying.
There's a reason behind that still, but... Anyway, we don't want to jump again over things, unless someone wants to come into that, but... Yeah. You want to come into that?
Thank you. I've been waiting patiently. But I must say I agree with all the comments so far. But I want to come back to Maxine's comments. Obviously, she's a guest, and although what we say is also our input into this, I'm carefully listening to what Maxine is saying. Now. There have been 3 different points, mused about, so I trust I get the time to address them. I was born and grown in Jamaica. Part of Jamaican culture is, Simeon, come live with me, is 2 different things. Very simple philosophy. And I hear you alluding to that, Maxine, right? I love everything you've said because, you know, I feel like you've been reading my coaching book, but never mind. Because my strength is all categories of relationships. Right. So, you know, it falls right into my sort of lap. Everything you've said, I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, wow. When I do my next seminar and my next conference and my next this, I trust you're going to have the time to come, because you are expressive about things what we call seasoned. You are a seasoned woman, if you don't mind me saying so.
I'm cool with that.
So, you know, like if you cook some food and we all get a taste of it, we know what your food tastes like because, you know, you've seasoned it to Maxine season it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's special. It's really special. It's unique, okay? But it's also representative of, I love how you did that. You just said, well, look, you know, I think I represent. Not many people would get it from me talking about representation, you know, because of the uniqueness and there is no equality and all of this other stuff. That's my philosophy. But to be representative of being a female in those situations, you know, tells me everything about your character, by the way. Okay. Your character our character is our blueprint.
Absolutely.
And I can just repeat that you found yourself, Maxine. That's what makes you being able to just easily just say exactly as it is, rather than exactly how you feel or an opinion. I don't have no time for opinions. I ain't got no time for reasons. I don't have time for facts because I'm scientifically based. Yeah. So what you said, everything you said is scientifically based. One other thing I really wanted to say is, you know, we as men, speaking from the point of view of men, we have a deficiency which we are not accepting. Yes? Wow. And we are in a state of permanent depressive denial about women. If we were totally honest, we would just simply say, what are we doing when we say we understand women? We don't even ask them who they are. So how can we be so presumptuous to say we know who they are? They know who they are. Do we in a relationship, and I ask this question, by the way, virtually every week. I have at least two-thirds of my work each week is conflict resolutions between people, whether it's be corporate or otherwise. And I find there's a trait, and the trait is needs. The trait is not just communication, although my brethren are right about communication in yourself, but it is quality of communication. That's what I hear, and that's what I've experienced. The quality of communications, and it has bothered me in such a way that I've made a model, you know, which when I'm coaching, I give to that person, you know, I'm giving them my expertise, and that model actually has a representative sort of context and concept. Yeah, we men totally ignorant about women's needs.
Wow.
That's what I can say. Yeah? And if we think that it's even probable, okay, let alone possible, understanding of women, we're fooling ourselves.
Wow.
It's so simple.
What can I say?
Do you understand? That is my finding, much over longer than 30 odd years. Yeah? Because as a young man in Jamaica, I used to observe how some women were being treated and how some men were being treated. And one time I remember this woman, I was talking to a friend in Long Island earlier on, and I said to her, do you remember Miss So-and-so? She said, yeah. And we were talking about how her man used to beat her.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a young man, I'm very feisty, you understand? And I said, listen, Mrs. C, why you make man beat you upside and you're still there with him? Now, of course, we can't tell him what to do, but I was a little boy. I mean, I'm thinking, why you make him do this? She said, love me. So she was being tamed by the beating. Tamed in such a way that if you opened the door and said, run, she'd say no. And if he loved her and beat her, I said to her, but Miss Sarsa, you know, what would happen if he hated you? He said, look, boy, go sit down. Because, you know, children weren't supposed to ask those questions, but that was me. I'm telling you something. That I've never had such, vast knowledge before, seeing how women have been treated. In the movies, they were just cooks, blah, blah, blah. Now, other people through generations have decided, say, I'm not a blooming cook anymore, you understand? Yeah, I want a rise. I want to go further. People with determination like yours, concentration like yours, focus like yours, and actions that you take. You are to be literally admired extensively.
Wow.
for the way you have handled yourself from what you've brought to this interview. I'm sure there's plenty more. And I heard Brother Dougie mention about the book. I said, forget about the book. Let's have the TV series. You're at Sky. Don't mess about. Tell them I don't have Sky. I only have Earth at home. And so, this is from an earthly force. You hear me? Yeah. But you need this model and make sure, say, you have input. So you can, you're the consultant or the, the director, whatever, executive director. Because then your input will enrich. And anything that can run off Dallas with JR in it. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's have a woman hero this time.
Wow.
That's you. You're my hero. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Lyndon.
Wow.
Still, right? Anyway, because I need to book something up, and I would like to issue, but there's the right time to issue with that still, you know what I mean? Right? But, Jammers, who's going to come? You want to come in?
I did just want to ask a question with Maxine and her TV program.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, what has been the most interesting program that's gone out that you've done, and why?
Right, well, it hasn't actually been aired yet.
So you can't tell us.
Yeah, but it's coming, and it's our jammers here. Yeah. I actually, was blessed to be in a position to ask him to come on Moments with Maxine, which I believe is going to be shown not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. I haven't got dates, so please forgive me. But I know that that interview was more than just an interview. I was ministered to that day, and I felt as though it was so in alignment with where I was at, and I had a little bit of conflict within myself with certain things. But when me and Jammers had our conversation, and after we finished that interview, I knew that exactly what I was wrestling with, I shouldn't have been wrestling with, because once again, it's when man has input into what you're doing that it gets conflict. There's conflict. When it's just you one concentrating and focusing on what you're doing, there's no conflict, and you can normally push through it. Even when there's things coming at you, you know it's right, you know what you're doing is correct, you can push through. And so for me on that particular interview, it was awesome.
Wow, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for that.
Christian, I want to ask you, how do you see the future for yourself next 5, 10, 15 years?
I see that I will be in a position of helping more people, and obviously media is one way of doing it, but I do sometimes believe as well that you do need to get your hands dirty, if you like. Maybe I'm not saying it correctly, but you do need to get stuck in. A lot of the time when we become successful in our own way, whatever success looks like to you, or or you know, we can look at the stars, the footballers, the actresses and whatever. We normally make our money and then we, if you like, dust out. You know what I mean? You go to America, you marry into a different culture, you do this and you do that, and then nobody in little Tottenham or little Hackney, whatever, ever really sees you again. And it's something that I, you know, pray in my heart that we do start looking at. But you have to come back to your community, because your community gave you something in the first place that you run with to get where you are. And I do think it's the essence of pretty much why things are the way they are in some of our small black communities, whatever you are. I don't know how you want to interpret it, but it's my interpretation of it. And we need to build something in your community, and that can stand, and that can be passed on, and that can be left, where government can't tear it down, funding can't be drawn out of it or taken away. We do need to have something that we can help each other. If we pretty much done this from the beginning, where influences from wherever couldn't come in, because it's what we've built. You know, what we've put together, whether it's a school, whether it's, and I'm not even talking about churches neither, because I think that that's also such a bondage and oppression at times if you're not in the right place, even with church. So yeah, I do believe in somehow building a community, especially those millionaires that are gone off and whatever. Come back, build something, create some jobs, do something. And that's one thing, even why I thank God for my dance, fitness and sports agency, because you are creating jobs. Creating jobs. And even with Black History, where it's one of our busiest times, we do the drumming, the storytelling, the African dancing and poetry and the rest of it. It's creating jobs, and it's letting us as a people be able to express and educate back to the schools what we want to give them, because no white person or no government could come and intervene with that, unless you go on the internet and read their interpretation of Black history about slavery and all that. That's not it. For us, it's about knowing that it's okay to be you, and it's okay to express yourself, and it's okay to use the gifts you have. Just be yourself.
That kind of leads on to this question here, and I was going to get involved in this question here because the whole thing about parenting, and this is kind of a burning issue to me now, because me and Supreme, in fact last week, Supreme and Lyndon and myself was talking about the rant with the sister where she got the challenges with the social worker, right? We discussed with you the other day as well, right? This is kind of a bold question, right? But because you're a very bold person, you could deal with kind of question here, right? How do you see the role of parenting today? And I will ask the others to come involved, ask their contributions as well. And also based on the rant with the sister who's going for some challenges, and I want to bring all that into the mix now.
As a parent myself, I do believe that both roles are very important, as a mother and as a father. You need that, regardless whether they're even blood or whatever. They need a father figure, and same vice versa, mother figure as well. But it all starts at home. And once again, I think we have lost a lot of that in communities. I mean, if we're talking about even going back home, like to Jamaica and places like that, Miss Ida and Miss Gloria, they can both discipline your child and it's not a problem to you. You know what I mean? But over here, if you're going to try and discipline somebody else's child, the people have a problem with that. But it takes a community to raise an individual, and I really do believe that. That's why I do try and give my kids as much exposure to so many different people, so many different cultures, as much as possible, because I just think that they need to know different things. But at the same time, I need them around people that are also going to be able to discipline them. I don't have a problem with it. Obviously, if it's going too far and it's not in alignment with my morals, then I'm going to have a problem with that. But a true father and a true mother will be in alignment with where I'm at, because they want the best. So it starts at home, because our education system, it's a failure, and there's a big flaw in it. So it really does start at home, because they are not training up our kids to be men and to be women. They're training up our kids to be how can I put it, a modern day slave to work, and just to
well said.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that. If you look at the word peer means to look. Yeah. It also means a title, something you look up to. A peer is somebody you look up to. Yeah. So basically, this is the biggest problem that we have, is the destruction of the family.
Yeah.
Because basically, you're supposed to look up to who you came from, your bloodline, and your nationality. If you don't have that, then you've lost your identity straight away. It's not appearance, it's parents. That's who we're supposed to try to strive to maintain or strive towards, parents, not appearance. And that's the problem, is we don't want to look like who we came from. We want to look, we've been trained to look like somebody who's not like us. So basically we put an app on to look like Chris Brown, to look like Rihanna, to look like somebody other than us. And once you're not looking like parents, you've got appearance, that's when you lose your identity, because then you start calling yourself something like black, which is a noun, adjective or verb. It doesn't relate to a family line. And this is where, if you don't strive to build a family, then you're going to use your money to support the identity of somebody else. Like if you look at most of the pop stars, or the rap stars, or the footballers, they're wearing Gucci, which is an old Italian man. So they're putting on clothes, or Armani, like old white people. They're trying to look like old white people by spending all this money on Lamborghini. Who create Lamborghini? Another old white person. But they're saying black power this and black power that. So basically, we've got to stop using the app and move to our parents. Stop walking around with designer clothes, because design means to take away the sign that it's cheap. That's why we're walking around with a closed mind. We're in the clothes. So instead of looking at our mind, closed mind. Lyndon?
Again, thanks for the opportunity to say something on this. When it comes to parents, I've got quite a lot to say, obviously, not this program in everything, but I hear what you definitely say about principles. I hear what you say about structure. I hear what you say about morals. I hear what you say about scruples. I hear a lot. and I hear you say about routines. That is my formula to every single parent. Now, I want to tell you something. I want everyone who's listening to understand that there's no way any of us can jump up and say, this is the only model.
No, that's right.
So I hear that as well from you. You've decided to focus on what you're got to do for your children's needs, to give them the amount of love and worth that they deserve, and more. And that just coincides with some research that we've been doing on identity, because a parent has to have that form of identity. You understand? His identity isn't just about the one individual. The one individual has many different parts of the concept of identity. And so that is one of the rigors, just like grammar as a piece of work. It's very rudimentary, very basic, very, very much principled. And many times I say to people, it's not that I'm boasting, but I'm glad I did have a grammar school background, because it's helped me to take things at simple points, put them in a little boxes with the little labels, and then have a constellation of them. So every time I look up, I say, oh yeah, I need to do that for my child. Now, I made a very big decision when I was younger. One, remember, corporal punishment was in my time, and anybody could beat you. Now, I remember heard you say something about back in Jamaica, so-and-so could discipline your child. I want to say yes, 100%, but for me, it depends on what discipline you may have meant. Do you understand? Because some people think beating up on the child is discipline.
Oh, no,
I've run an experiment. I'm not saying that you have, but I must tell you, when people start saying that, that's the first thing that comes in my mind. Yeah? But if it is wrong for a man to beat his woman, wife or not, yeah, it must be surely wrong for anyone to beat their children.
And I agree.
Yeah? And so, therefore, I need everybody who is listening to hear this. That from my point of view, yeah?
If your children steal from you, you don't beat them.
Well, my brother, I'm not even going to come into that conversation right now because, really, I'm just wanting to address her and what she said. Yeah. No, sorry, my brother, I'm not saying anything apart from that, but for me, I'm focused
on... What you said it, so?
Okay, all right, well, I'll stop.
No, don't stop.
No, I want to hear what you said.
Why? No, I was just asking something pertaining to what you were saying.
I hear you, my brother, but like I said, for me, I'd like to answer at a different time. Time. Yeah, because right now...
I never heard of Christopher House.
Okay. Can I just ask a question? Because everybody's been firing these questions in all different scenarios. Yeah. Now, we've spoken a lot about relationships, about, just our feelings and lots of different things. Now, I'm in a room full of men here.
Are you sure though? Because it's a new transgender thing.
Whatever.
It must be critters.
I need to ask this question because
the transgender
anyway, now we've been talking about the strength of a woman and and that type of stuff, but in regards to you men. We've talked about beating, and obviously you guys have let off certain emotions and whatever, but how do you guys feel about men crying or showing vulnerability to a woman? How do you feel about that? Because I know that many men feel that crying is almost like a weakness in front of a woman, and I'm going to tell you that you'll be pleasantly surprised that it really isn't. To a woman, but how do you feel? Would you express yourself to a woman in that way? Let's hear from your jammers, please.
Well, I'm not really that crying type of person still,
Yeah.
Oh, let's hear that. Come on, I want to hear this, man.
He goes into
let's hear from Critters.
Why I say, me never ball except when me girl left me last week, and that boy over there, sir.
I'm just saying that just through my experience, I've been through certain things in where that's not really an option for me. You know what I mean?
So you wouldn't cry in front of a woman, really, or do you even cry?
Not really. No, that emotion ain't. It's survival instinct, really. So. Wow. If you let go of that, your survival instinct, then you're lost in a certain way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just through certain experiences that I've had,
Okay, and do you think that is because society has told you that, or is it just who you are as an individual?
I think it's just who I am as an individual. Things that I've been through. That's really,
Okay, cool.
But I think in what you said though, there's certain women though, if you do cry in front of them, they probably dash you out the yard.
Nah, you see, well, I don't know about them, but I know for many women that it shows their strength. It depends on what kind of crying though, what kind of sobbing.
We've been caught out 2 times, 3 times, that kind of crying.
Yeah, the tune that says, "See boops there, go and near me mouth." Yeah. Well, that's why the women were singing. The women were singing that, because boops they are ball, Yeah, them take him for less than a man. Yeah, them even call him some kind of funny name and thing. You understand? Okay. So sometimes, verbals can be very harsh, man to woman, woman to man. But I'll take your point, and I will tell you something. I wouldn't be ashamed to cry in front of a woman. You know why? Because I got tear ducts and it got tears in there.
That's right.
And if it's a release valve, you understand? Then therefore, for me, what's the big deal? If my woman can't see that I'm genuinely who I am.
That's right.
But sometimes, like Jamis says, he's hardened. I didn't use the word, but from his description, I mean, I don't want to misquote you, my brother. But do you really mean that you're kind of hardened? You say, like battle hardened or something. You understand what I'm saying? And that can be a problem. That's what I'm saying to you.
I agree.
I'm coming to you, brother. I know you want to come on, but I don't want to have the scene. But what I'm saying is, it wouldn't bother me.
Good.
It doesn't mean I'm weak. In fact, it means that I'm human.
And
you understand? That's the human side of me. The spiritual side of me is never going to cry. You understand? The spiritual side of me never feel all of these labels, which they call emotions.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because emotions to me, as a coach, is only a feeling.
That's right.
The fact that somebody's come along and say, well, this one named disappointment, this one named anger, this one named that. So we live to that. We live to those labels, and we choose which labels we want to be a me victim for. Do you understand?
Sure.
But for me, I don't bother. If I do, it happens sometimes. Yeah. I will say to you, I choose to feel this way. I choose to, and I do it deliberately so other people can say, "Right, it was a choice for you." You understand? But what if I feel an emotion and didn't have a label? It would just be an emotion. End of story. And scientifically, an emotion only lasts for 5 seconds, no more. So why am I getting het up for 5 seconds for? Right? By the time I'm breathing, 5 seconds have gone. So for me, you don't need to worry about emotions. Emotions is just a feeling. What lasts longer than the 5 seconds is what many people do not know or identify or be aware of are moods. So there you go.
Okay. Well said, Lyndon. Can I just come in here?
Please.
If we at a funeral, one thing I notice is the men that are wearing the dark glasses. You know why they're hiding behind the glasses? Because they're crying. Trust me. Crying is a good thing for your mental health.
So.
Trust me. So. Because you've come to the height of your emotion. And okay, slight distraction. Like I was saying, that when you've come to that point, just like Lyndon said, that's just like releasing. Trust me, it's the best feeling you could ever have.
I agree.
Because you cannot move on if you're bottled up. Trust me. This is why, if we take a trip to St. Anne's, there are a lot of men walking around with, what they call it? They have had a mental breakdown. They didn't know how to deal with the problem. Now, if somebody gets counselling, if somebody gets counselling, technically in counselling, and if they have a problem, they bring you into a certain state and they bring you back. So they have to find out, just like you say, let's go back. Let's peel back the layer. What was the problem there? Oh, what was it there? And then you get to a point where you might just say, oh, then they realise you've released. Then they're going to say, well, this is what's going to happen from now. They put the positivity back in it. I like what you said, Maxine, about men crying in front of women. I think men may cry in front of men. Men may cry in front of their mum, but they don't want to do it in front of their woman because they don't want to be seen as weak, because they're meant to be the support, the mechanism. Don't worry, baby, everything's going to be alright, but just let me cry right now. That's like to a woman, or what is seen is that you can't handle pressure. Yesterday, me and Dougie had a very good conversation, and the lady asked the question, how do you handle stress? I said, wow, I never thought about that. But this is it. We have to start saying, how do we handle stress? How do we handle this? The questions are good. Crying, I would say, is an excellent thing for everybody to do when they're at that stage. Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of men use like fitness, running, pumping weights and all that type of thing to, help de-stress, which is good. It helps, release endorphin, whatever. But I do think it's good to release tears, and it's like Lyndon said, you didn't have tear duct just to have tear ducts. They're there to release. But
can I say that Supreme put things into perspective? We say if you look in Sands Hospital, there's a lot of men, section mental health, because they broke up a lot of stuff was inside them for so many years, and they're able to let go. If you have a person in development, I'll probably go mad. No, seriously, because like jammers, I'm kind of wired up. Not to cry and blah blah blah. Right. But it's only when I went to Anthony Robbins, right, and Lyndon can verify me this, right. They got a process called digging, right. They turn the lights down, right, and that's when they start talking about all the stuff we've been through and what's gone through, and you see people crying and bawling, big men them. You know what I mean? Then you start going deep in yourself. All that stuff's got to come out now, because what it is, right, we hold into a lot of this stuff right inside of us, and it has to come out. It just has to come out. For you to move forward, it has to. I would imagine as part of the counselling process, if we counsel somebody, right, you have to start digging to that person in the past and let go of that stuff out. You see, because what it is that we hold into a lot of stuff in the past. You have to let it go. Sometimes you have to let it go and cry. And one time, right, I was on the train going to Brighton, right, and I'm just reflecting on things of the past, and I start to cry.
Oh wow!
Yeah, tears start coming out, and I didn't care, but seriously, I start going back to my past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And things start coming. It's amazing.
It's good.
And I needed that. You see what I definitely need that. Come out. Just come out. It's all part of the process. And then obviously, the question you asked earlier on, right? Would you cry in front of a woman?
Yeah.
Your woman?
Would you?
Yeah. You see, it comes back to what Supreme says. That if you both are going through some stuff, and you really feel it, you got to let it go. But if you're gonna cry, the way you cry and you're buying them, you're gonna piss what kind of money you have yourself, and all them kind of thing there. You know what I mean? So again, it's where I'm looking at it from a conscious point of view as well, or my subconscious, or whatever the case may be. But yes, you have to let it out. That's the bottom line. It has. If you don't let it out, right, it'll drive you crazy. Because you're holding to a lot of stuff deep inside of you. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But you'd be surprised, because most women wouldn't see that as a weakness. Yeah. They would see that it's for you actually speaking to them in your way. Time you're gonna every time you're gonna cry. I'm just gonna be clear what you're talking about. You can't just cry. I don't even believe a woman should just cry. Okay then, all right then. I just want to be clear. I'm not a crier, but if something gets you, then you might see a tear roll. But you might see a form of emotion take place. Yeah, go ahead.
A great point again, from each person, but just what Brother Dougie just said, maybe it's just too much crying. When you see somebody crying like that all the time, let me tell you this, they are depressed. And that's because they have boxed it all up. Yes, they're mentally constipated. And they need that enema, yes, to help free them up.
Wow.
And sometimes they need more than the enema. You understand? Yeah. Hoarder. You can offer hoarder. You can see the physical hoarding. There is an association with some kind of experience that happened before that they're associating with. Or it may be that maybe see if in the places they miss somebody or whatever. Yes, I'll give you this very much. And it was a coach who visited this woman who was doing hoarding. That was his speciality. A Greek brother. And I watched him, but he came and he couldn't even get through the door. right? He doesn't know how she don't bathe because the whole bath, everything is full up. He just about can get to the toilet, yeah, at a squeeze. So if you have an urgency, it's going to be a problem, yeah. And eventually, he said he can help her, within 6 weeks to start thing. There was a woman, this woman, and he brought other people in to help, and when you get to a certain stage, and the woman, I've looked at the woman, I've looked around as best as I can, and there's one room. When I say a room, it was a huge room. Maybe it was about, say, 17 foot 6 by 15. It was that big, yeah, like a through lounge. And it was just pure tins of food. I mean, right up to the ceiling. You couldn't even get... the door was open, but you couldn't actually go any further. Mm-hmm. And he said to her, what is all this? And he said, look, we've got to get these on. She told him no. He said, if you come and touch my things without my approval. Anyway, long and short of it, he sent some workers there with some skips and stuff, to gather stuff. And he said to her, okay, you get rid of what you want to get rid of. Do you know what? She was looking at each tin and looking at it and looking at it. And he said, well, you have to make a decision, that goes in the skip or it stays. She didn't want to throw any of them away. Come the 6 weeks, he said, look. Come the 6 weeks, he said, look. It's always... But anyway, if you want to give it another 6 weeks. Because he realized there was a bar. And do you know something? He sent these workers in, and the woman agreed. Yeah, you can take some, can take the green labels, blah, blah, blah. There was food there from 20 years prior. And he said to her, look, have you looked at this date? You know what I mean? They didn't even have the stamp expire by so-and-so. They didn't even think about that. But just looking at the tin and, the labels and stuff, he knew they don't make that anymore. Mm-hmm. And she said, there's nothing wrong with it because I had a tin of that this morning. This was like, what? Finally, just switch from there to the next step. Mm-hmm. The women that went there to help clean up, they took all of these stuff out into the yard. Listen to me, it took 2 skipful. 2 skipful. So, if you can think that is physical, and I really wanted to paint that picture, physical hoarding, every physical hoarding is starting from a mental hoarding.
Sure.
And so if there is no things to show like tins of beans or whatever, we are carrying, whomever is carrying that load is carrying it on your brain.
Wow.
Imagine that. We have a brain to help us to go further and enhance our performances. We're blocking every part of it through association. So I call that mental hoarding. And if we're mentally hoarding, we will be crying one day. Hopefully soon.
Okay.
Absolutely fabulous. I'd like to thank you for coming down, Maxine. I hope we went too hard with the interrogation.
No, not at all.
So you're now officially a part of the show now.
Yay!
If you want to be, that is,
So, but one thing I will say as well, Jam, is I really do appreciate you having me here.
No problem.
But Lyndon's trying to tell me now, then, Jam, is that at some stage you'll be crying soon.
Actually, what it is, he's already come to think of it now. He's got this recipe for colds, and I remember I was boiling in tears there with the onion and eating the raw onions, the raw garlic, and the raw ginger.
Okay, well at least you're fine. All right.
Any final words now, Maxine?
I just want to say thank you, and to anyone listening in, just keep it moving. They're my favourite words. Keep it moving. Don't be stagnant.
And how can we get in contact with you if anybody wants to do one of your programs again?
Tell them to contact the project.
Yeah, what's the number again?
It's 07985 511
And the name of it is again
It's called Moments with Maxine.
Excellent. Thanks again.
Give me the number again.
I'll talk to you in a little bit. Just
okay.
But more than anything, just remember, just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Really important.
Respect. Supreme, you got any final words?
Yes, well, I've got to say we're at the beginning of 2018, and I'm hoping that people are setting their goals, their resolutions, their pledges. We don't all have to do them all in the first week. We can take it bit by bit. But I'm just hoping that, just like myself, people are setting things for them to achieve for the year.
Thank you. Dougie? Lyndon?
Yes, very quickly, great to be in the company of Sister Maxine and the rest of the brethren inside the house. And it does be great to start. We have to start to be great. Our power to our people.
Respect. Linda?
Well, I've been in interviews, I've done interviews. I am also a broadcaster and a journalist, and trust that on my show I'm always looking for celebrities, but I don't want a plastic celebrity. I want celebrities are people for me who've inspired me. Yes, Brother Supreme, Brother Dougie, Brother Jammers, they'll be on my show, okay, because they've inspired me in some way or another. I want to tell you, this is one of the most comprehensive interviews I've ever listened to.
Wow.
And I want to tell you something, that was because of who you are. Yeah, you are a well-rounded individual. You have utilized your experiences to your advantage rather than to your disadvantage. You're a model to yourself. You express empowerment from within. You've expressed that your physicality is not all that you carry or judge yourself by. You've said that, I hear you say, my values and beliefs are mine. I don't have to follow somebody else's. If I had a tick sheet from my coaching, because I design questionnaires as well, I'd have a tick against every single one. There's no way I would hesitate to put a tick in there.
Nice.
I would love for my daughter to listen to this interview, and then she'd say, but Daddy, I now know what you were talking about when I was young. Yeah, you could have been that daughter for me, and you did and still doing all the things that you're doing. Fantastic. I would love to have the opportunity on my show to interview you, and be talking probably different questions, but yeah.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm encouraged. Thank you.
Thank you. Lyndon, when's your show again for anybody who's just joined us?
My show is on the 7th of January, the Sunday the 7th of January, 10 till 12. It's called The Black Experience. It is the only 5-star rated show.
Thank you, excellent. I'd like to thank each and every one. Once again, the perfect way to start the year. You've had a perfect example with Maxine here. She showed how she's overcome great difficulties and she's multitasking to greatness. So don't be sentenced by the sentence of your mind, or be reigned over by the brain cell in the cell in your brain. Now is the time to arise and aspire. And you can rise as we were before, we will be again. Thank you. DS Jammers signing out till next week.